This is episode number 196 of the You, Me, and BTC podcast. Thanks for joining us today. I got some fun stuff planned, as always. Mostly it's just forking. There's like forks on forks on forks these days, and some of them you might not even know about. So we'll talk about some of those, and Zach's ready to rant. I am Daniel Brown, and I'm here with
Zack full.
And Tim said he'd be late. I don't know if we trust him on that, but whatever. Tim may or may not be here later. I am going to screen share and show you the place to be tonight. This is you, me, and btc.com/live. You got the video there, as always. We already got NY Cartoons in the chat. What's going on, brother? You got show notes. You got links to the stories that we're going to cover, stuff about Bitcoin, gold, and actually gold itself too. I saw an article about it recently, and I figured, hey, we're talking about Bitcoin gold. Let's talk about actual gold and how it's related to Bitcoin, or mostly actually how it's just kind of flopping right now compared to Bitcoin, like freaking through the roof. Look at this over here, almost 5,400, actually well over 5,400 by some other counts. So I I got all kinds of tickers right here, and they're all different, but it doesn't matter because they're all high. Super, super baked. And you got the poll at the bottom here. How legit is Bitcoin gold? So you can scroll to the bottom. Tell us on a scale from 1 to 4 how legit you think Bitcoin gold is. This is you, me, and btc.com/live is where you can get to all that. Definitely use the chat tonight, guys. We'll be reading pretty much anything that we can and having some fun as usual. Again, thanks to NY Cartoons, one of our biggest chatters. All right, Zach, what do you know about Bitcoin gold? This base article we're kind of going off of here is from Jimmy Song, one of our favorites. He's getting pretty well known as a developer and a writer about Bitcoin. He just writes what happens, and it's pretty useful to go over it. So, in fact, he has his own website now based on Medium, but he used to write on a subdomain of Medium. Now he writes on his own site, bitcointechtalk.com. Oh yeah, Zach, what do you know about Bitcoin gold, and what do you think about all this forking? It's what's the Californication? Is that no? Anyway, it's a lot of forking. That's all I'm trying to say. Oh, geez, we lost him. I don't even know how long he's been gone. I was too busy screen sharing, so that explains that. Okay, well, yeah, Bitcoin gold is okay. So everyone knows about 2x, and it's November. They always say 2x. Is there going to be a fork? Is there not going to be a fork? And we've asked that question several times, and we don't know the answer, but it seems pretty likely at this point that there's going to be some effort to fork, and no one knows who's going to
Sorry about
officially... that. No, you're good. You're good. I was just explaining what well, actually, I was explaining 2x and how everyone knows about 2x, but who the heck no, Bitcoin gold is this other one, which it's actually been announced for a while, but I know, just nobody gave it much credence, at least not enough until more recently. What do you think about it, Zach, and about all the forking, all the inappropriate forking left and right?
Yeah, it's definitely inappropriate forking. We made a few jokes about it should be illegal to fork miners or something like that. But also, like we've said before, we were just talking about before we went live, so obviously people talk about, oh, it'll hurt the brand or cause confusion for new adopters, that sort of thing. But rule number 1 for me when it comes to forks is I'll never turn down free money. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I still haven't traded any of my or sold any of my Bitcoin Cash. I'm just still holding it because you never know what's going to happen. Like, there are like at least 7 other Bitcoin or alternative Bitcoins or something, like at least half a dozen of them that all have Bitcoin as a moniker or something. I don't own really any of them except for Cash, just because I got that automatically. But I mean, I'm not going to be like, no, don't give me free tokens that I'm not going to pay you anything for and automatically have a trading value of something. But also, my one thought is, so Cash, I guess, was a nifty add-on to the traditional Bitcoin name for the August fork. But it would be funny in like some alternative reality to market Bitcoin Gold as like gold level Bitcoin, like Bitcoin Platinum. Like this is the real shit. Like you don't want to be a plebeian and just buy Bitcoin or like blue collar Bitcoin Cash. Like Bitcoin Gold is the standard. I don't know.
That's a good call. I could see. I mean, I'm sure to some extent that's kind of what they want people to think is like this is the one.
Yeah.
But obviously,
but
that's the debate.
I don't really think it hurts. Well, there's this one Telegram or a Coin Telegraph article that I pulled up. They're like, dear forkers, there's only one Bitcoin, and like that's true. And I think people who adopt it or who like are new to Bitcoin might be confused, but I really don't think that's true. I like my honest opinion, which I don't think I said this at first, like when we were first talking about the August fork. I was sort of hesitant as to whether or not it would hurt or be neutral or maybe even help the community. I'm like pretty indifferent. Like I don't care. Like right now, we could go fork the chain and create our own Bitcoin YMB and just be like, hey guys, now everyone has some YMB Bitcoin. But like I don't think it really hurts. And I think the ability to fork is a crucial. I mean, obviously, I don't know if anyone would disagree with this actually, but it's like crucial to this whole project. The fact that we can fork whenever we want. So
that's a good point. I would still contend to some extent that, you know, they're kind of weird and dumb and I'm not super interested in any of the forks. But at the same time, I totally agree with you. Like, yeah, it's crucial. Like, I'm not going to stop you from forking. It just freaking fork all night long.
Yeah, fork all night till the sunrise or something if you want. Yeah, I also agree though that it's kind of dumb and stupid. But also, I mean, the fact that it is dumb and stupid, but that we still have the ability to do it in 3-5 years, maybe a decade down the road, we'll look back at Bitcoin Gold or Bitcoin Cash as cautionary tales if they don't work and say, okay, you can fork whenever you want, but this is what's going to happen. Well, or they may be huge successes. Who knows? So
I think a pretty good analogy, because I mean, the phrase that a lot of people use is that they're altcoins. And the only difference between, you know, Bitcoin Cash and an altcoin is the distribution strategy, right? So with altcoins, they distribute brand new tokens on a whole different blockchain. And then they have however they want to distribute them, sell them, mine them, whatever, pre-mine them, post-mine them, whatever. The only difference between an altcoin and a Bitcoin fork is that with a Bitcoin fork, the distribution just goes to everyone who already has Bitcoin. That's the only difference. It's still a whole new blockchain after the fork, but the history, you know, it just starts with the same distribution as existing Bitcoin. That's the only difference between a fork and an altcoin. Now, the reason that matters is because if you think about it, I mean, if you're trying to ask the question, like, what's going to happen with all these forks? Well, the truth is, altcoins, like, took off. Like, they're freaking everywhere. And in the same way, a lot of them are so stupid. And they get misused and abused and overused. And some of them are cool, but, you know, will they ever really take off? You never know. Well, I almost just assume, I'm almost certain that why shouldn't the same thing happen with forks? Oh yeah, let's make a YMB Bitcoin. Here we go, everyone. Let's do it, and we'll change this little thing and this little thing, and we're gonna hard fork, and you may or may not have replay protection and all that crap. But everyone's gonna try it, just like they did with altcoins, and everyone's gonna try to get rich off of it ultimately, because I mean the reason altcoins took off, especially with ICOs, is because you could make them and then sell them for Ethereum or for Bitcoin or for whatever you want. You could make up these tokens out of thin air and sell them. This is a little different because, like we said, the distribution strategy, you don't really make them out of thin air for yourself. You make them for everyone, like guaranteed. So they do come out of thin air. They're just brand new tokens on another blockchain, but it's everyone automatically has some. And that's a pretty important factor. I don't know if that's good or bad or better or worse. I mean, it's better than most ICOs where they just, or most altcoins where they pre-mine it and they start with all of them. That's kind of dumb. But, is it still great to have a brand new coin that just everyone has? I guess. Any thoughts? I guess it's better
Yeah.
than.
Well, yeah, I guess it. I guess it's better for distribution because people can sort of try it out if they want, but they also, like, for coins that they buy, they're more invested in sort of holding it and making sure that the project succeeds because they've actually invested something. Whereas with Bitcoin alternatives, or like Bitcoin branded altcoins, however you should phrase it, it's just sort of something free they get, and they don't really care unless they have like a pre-existing commitment to the project, which I guess would be more ideological than like some sort of material value they invested in it. I don't know. I would say, like, overall though, well, two things. One, maybe all of our listeners already know about it, but one of my favorite things to look at, just because how mind-boggling it is, speaking of altcoins and Bitcoin forks and all of that, mapofcoins.com has sort of like genealogies of the hundreds, thousands of all altcoins, Bitcoin alternatives, Bitcoin included, and their genealogy from the Bitcoin chain, the Bitcoin map is what they call it, the XRP map, all of these, and how they sort of map onto the big cryptocurrencies we know today. It's kind of cool, just a cool visualization to look at.
I've never seen it, but I'm looking at it now. It is pretty darn cool.
Yeah, mapofcoins.com/Bitcoin is like the Bitcoin blockchain, and it's just like and so if you scroll down, you see like Dogecoin and where Dogecoin came from, and then like some of these I can't recognize just by their 3 to 4 letter abbreviation or ticker, but yeah, it's kind of cool. But overall, I would say, so like I studied econ in school, and there's this idea that money, what we know as money, like what we use as money, is a process of evolution. Like, that's not a strange idea. That's just how we get money. It's the most useful under a list of 4 to 5 different attributes, sometimes 6, of what money is. And I think now that we're in this massive digital cryptographic money, like, revolution, essentially, these hundreds of thousands of altcoins and all these forks and all this nonsense is just like the primordial phase of an evolutionary process that's going to be ongoing to figure out, like you mentioned, proof of work, proof of stake, proof of share, proof of all these other different proofs, all these other different protections and protocol adjustments. Which combination of all these different attributes will give us the best, or a series of the best digital currencies? So I'm excited, and that's why I don't really care about forks, because I think we'll look back and see the cautionary tales for future development after it's continued to mature, because obviously the space is still pretty nascent and underdeveloped and that sort of thing. But it's just the beginning of a forthcoming massive evolutionary process, and we have thousands of coins, and eventually, I was reading some tweets, and they're predicting, which I totally agree with, in the next decade or so, we'll see a ton of, especially ICOs, but altcoins in general, just sort of go to zero and fizzle out. And that's just part of the evolutionary process of money. And now we're in that digital phase. And so, it's cool. It'll be fun to watch. And
I mean, it'll be a roller coaster. There's going to be great times and terrible coins that maybe we'll get involved in and will suck, and coins that we may not get involved in that'll be amazing, or who knows what. All kinds of stuff is going to happen. And that's we're only a decade into Bitcoin. We got a good countless decades more, or crypto, I should say. Because I mean, Bitcoin, we say this all the time, but it is the first. I like the term you've been using, Zach. The evolutionary period is still a lot of that to come in crypto, no doubt. And frankly, I don't see why it should ever end. I mean, for centuries, it'd be like books, right? For centuries, they developed printing presses and ways to distribute books, and more efficient ways to produce them and publish them and distribute them and write them. And then we have ebooks, and yeah, there's going to be all kinds of stuff coming. So let's, we
Yeah.
won't be alive for some of it probably, but
Oh yeah, yeah, and the way I look at it is some almost none of the massive early internet companies are even around today. We're still in that early development process now.
So I don't know what the heck just happened to Zach, but also at the same time, Tim happened to show
replacing
up.
him. Hello, James. I already saw you in the chat.
So yeah, I do want to. We'll see what Zach had to say in a sec, but yeah, I want to get to the chat real quick before I forget. James was crying out for Tim. I don't really know why, but whatever. I did link to the map of coins / Bitcoin in there, just because if anyone wants to check it out, it's kind of interesting. Robert Rupp says, why wait? Good question. Why wait? Jump in the show, jump in the chat, jump into Bitcoin, jump into crypto. Why frickin' wait? That's a good question. And NY Cartoons has a great question that we could talk about for a while. So before I read that, I want to say hello to Tim. How's it going? You missed a lot.
It's pretty good. I'm sure I didn't miss too much, with just you fucks yammering on.
Did someone actually die last week?
You missed. No. What?
Remember? I don't know. You said someone died next door or something.
No, I mean, I never went outside. I just figured, fuck it. If they die out there, they die out there. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, but no. Yeah, everything's okay, I guess, except for driving like 3 states around just to go to a fucking wedding rehearsal.
Freaking score. Zach, I have a question from the chat that we're going to read, but I know you got kind of cut off in the middle there. Anything you got to wrap up?
Oh, yeah, no, sorry about that. I'm good.
All right. Well, then we're going to the chat. James says, thank goodness for Dan. The show is getting really boring. Yeah. NY Cartoon says, what up, Tim? All right, so here's a question.
Hello, NY.
Are there this is from NY Cartoons. Are there 2 categories of altcoins? ? One for currency use and the other strictly for funding ICOs. So the fact is there are all kinds of altcoins. Some of them, and there are so many variables and so many scales of, centralization versus decentralization. Do they use this proof of work or this proof of work or this proof of work? Is it possible for the creators to, roll back the blockchain, control the database? There are all kinds of variables and scales. Is it pre-mined? Is it not pre-mined? How did they? Is it built on Ethereum? Is it built on Counterparty, which is built on Bitcoin, or is it built on its own blockchain? And the fact is, ICOs happen on all of those, and other stuff happens on all of those options. So yes, you could say that some altcoins are used for ICOs where companies distribute them to raise money. Although even then, even within ICOs, sometimes it's for a company, sometimes it's for a product, sometimes they come through, sometimes they don't, sometimes it's on Ethereum. So yes, some altcoins are used for ICOs, and yes, some are used for currency, but I don't think that's the most useful way to divide them, because both of those 2 categories have all kinds of stuff within them, and some of the stuff that's in one is also in the other, and vice versa. So yes, you could say there are those 2 categories, but there's not really anything that defines only ICOs or only currencies, except for how are they used, to raise money or to be money? Right? I don't know. That's just my best guess. Any thoughts, Tim or Zach, on the differences, or if there are much differences?
ICOs are scams. Altcoins are possible scams.
I mean,
everything's a scam, but not all things are scams.
A lot of people say that. I mean,
well, I actually believe the first part. This is like great video from some Swiss Bitcoin convention ever, where this guy's just like 5 minutes. XYZ, all ICOs are scams. It's like, oh, true. Okay.
That was easy. Moving on now.
Yeah.
Beyond the rest of the world.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I've done a very, very few ICOs. if they weren't even really called that at the time, kind of. I don't know. That's another thing, is like there are a lot of things that are now called ICOs that have happened in the past just under a different name, you know, token sales or distribution, crowdfunding. You know, they distributed, you know, the earliest one, what was it, BitShares or something? That was like 3 years ago, and they call it the first ICO, but at the time it wasn't called an ICO. It's really just an altcoin. So which is it? Well, it doesn't matter. There's all kinds of stuff mixed up under all these different names, and you really kind of have to look at them one by one to determine whatever you want to determine. You know, is it money? Is it a token? Is it a trading card? There's lots of trading card games on Counterparty. There are so many variables. That's all I'm trying to say.
But I think we can all agree that when Paris Hilton and Money Team Mayweather and DJ Khaled all start shilling for ICOs, then it's like it's time to get out.
Well, yeah, the one I saw was geez, well, the whole point of that sentence was to say the name, and I don't know it. So yeah, I'll just say celebrities. They do it now. Paris Hilton, that's who I'm going for. Paris Hilton had a big one recently, a big tweet, and that I don't even know if the ICO happened yet, but she's been trying to promote it. So Robert in the chat, as far as I know, brand new, so thanks for joining us. He says, you all don't know me, but I am OG. 8/26/10. I'm assuming that's the date. 8/26/10 after the first split. What do you think the repercussions might be if the FinCEN is able to win their case against Coinbase? Or are any of you aware of this? Oh yeah, that's a big one. We've covered it, you know, several times in the past. And repercussions, I don't know. I mean, you know, some people are going to get screwed. They're going to get, you know, people that might owe taxes might get audited. People that spent Bitcoin on drugs might get arrested or whatever. So yeah, a few people are going to get screwed, the people that use Coinbase. But overall, I mean, Bitcoin doesn't give a crap.
Yeah. Also,
any thoughts, guys?
Well, the one theory that I've heard, which I think is pretty reasonable, is a lot of people sort of expected the first, like this case against Coinbase to sort of be not, what's the word I'm looking for? Just sort of way more than what they wanted from Coinbase anyway. So that Coinbase could sort of negotiate them back to a middle ground. And we already saw that, like, now there's a bill in Congress to sort of exempt several $100s worth of Bitcoin transactions from being taxed at all, which obviously helps for like you can't buy Bitcoin or coffee with Bitcoin scenario. Like small transactions, it facilitates those a lot better. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw it maybe even a couple $1,000s worth of Bitcoin, like a transaction worth a couple $1,000s being completely exempt from any sort of regulatory oversight. And so maybe that's not ideal. Like you said, one, Bitcoin doesn't care. Two, like the fact that there are those, what I think are rather sizable exemptions, is actually sort of a good thing. But yeah, I don't think there's any like massive, oh, pack up, we're done, let's go home repercussions from any of it. It's, yeah.
Right. James Bond says FinCEN or IRS, question mark. And yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a difference. FinCEN is financial crimes and IRS is taxes related stuff. But, you know, I don't, either way, it doesn't matter. Both of them are interested in what you do with Bitcoin, and both of them are going to try to come after people.
Oh yeah, sorry, to clarify, I was talking about the IRS case, but maybe he can clarify in the comments. I'm not sure what FinCEN has against Coinbase. Coinbase is regulated or registered with FinCEN as a money-serving business right now. The case I think he's referring to is with the IRS. So I don't know what he's talking about with FinCEN.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But hey, let us know if there's something new that we missed. We'll look into it. So
yeah.
One thing that I was thinking too about a while ago about the Coinbase thing, at least, you know, what's the stat? They're like, oh, only 800 people filed taxes related to Bitcoin. I don't know. So they had some number that they kept saying. And it was incredibly low, and that's their excuse for going after Coinbase. When you think about that, the nice thing is, you know, if anyone's caught up in this, at least you're not alone, because I'm sure there are thousands and thousands of people that used Coinbase that believe in freedom, that believe in liberty, and know that how important it is, because that's just the way Bitcoin is in a lot of cases, and especially OG Bitcoiners. So at least there's some level of consolence. Is that a word?
Just like commiserating.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying it makes you feel better to think that, well, at least there's tons of other people out there that are at risk, probably, because of Coinbase. So, if they come after someone, they'll probably be coming after a lot of people, and it might be a decent amount.
Yeah, see, that's there has to be some, like the IRS said, or some article was like only 182 people paid taxes on their Bitcoin last year or something, or filed whatever it was. The IRS would have to go after thousands of people. Like, they do it all the time, sure, but this is like thousands of people from the same community. Like, they have to put in like some sort of grandfathering provision or exemption or something, or like discount on back taxes. I don't like that. Just would make no sense to me. Like, yeah, all you thousands of people are screwed. You owe us money, even though we didn't really give you any guidance, and the little bit we did was super confusing, and we maybe changed our mind a little bit, but you still owe us a lot of money. You're screwed.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead,
I
Tim.
think they definitely could do that, just because, fuck it, they can do it. But wow, I think I'm clipping out real bad. Daniel, what you were saying about how whatever you were trying to say, trying to get out consolation or console or whatever, it is the whole, we have strength in numbers, if only just because they just don't have the time to get everybody. Like, if they take every single person that didn't pay taxes on Bitcoin, not every single person even made enough money to make it worthwhile building a case against them, let alone just kind of just going after every single Bitcoin person. So, like, with everything else, you don't have to run faster than the bear. You just have to run faster than whoever's next to you and hope that another guy was dumber with his Bitcoin than you were. So it's easier to track him.
Well, I mean, that's actually a good point, because that's exactly how it would work, probably, and it sucks, but I would say, like you were saying, Zach, like they should kind of excuse some people, because how are we supposed to know? My even simpler argument. We've been joking about oversimplification on the show for a couple of weeks now, but honestly, I would do it here too. Like, how the frick am I supposed to know? I don't know a single tax law. And all of a sudden I'm assumed to like follow all the hundreds and thousands of pages of them. Like, that's the biggest thing for me. Obviously, I mean, that applies to any law, to be honest, but especially for taxes. Like, am I required to commit my time to doing work? I mean, isn't that slavery? If I'm supposed to do the work to prepare and research and all this crap for you, I mean, that's my oversimplification. Well, screw that. That's the thing with any kind of oversimplification. People think you're like joking or just instantly dismiss it, but I'm being dead serious. Like, how the heck am I supposed to know what and why am I responsible for doing all that research and all that work? I shouldn't be. That's what I would say.
Maybe. I mean, because if there's a thing called the law and you believe
you got a
in
lot
the
of
law,
crackles now, but all right. But what'd you say?
That was me yelling a little. No, it's not that bad. I don't know. I'm plugged into the internet. It's straight and it's not even on Wi-Fi, so you can fuck yourself. But if there is something such as a law, and there is this idea that we all have to submit to, and it is whatever the law is correct, then the argument of saying that ignorance of the law is no
excuse.
Just no. Is there anything better than that? It sounds like such a dumb phrase now. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. Then that is legitimate, and I do kind of understand that, because it's like, just because you grow up not realizing whatever we consider to be the right thing to do doesn't give you the right to not do that. The problem is like what we talk about all the time, is that law, especially laws, I mean, in a democratic system where they can be changed by votes very easily, it's not like way back when it was kings, where like if a king said something, it was a law, and then even necessarily the king might not be able to change it later. Later on, they made it even more confusing. But it's anytime where you have this stuff that can get changed and move around means that you cannot have a you can't have a fixed a fixed punishment, I guess, because it's by changing it and by including something new, you have to admit that this isn't necessarily something that is self-evident. I think that's the idea behind like the law. Like, I mean, all you can do that about like murder or stealing, but again, you could be like, what if this person grew up in this culture where stealing and murdering was encouraged? But it's especially with something like Bitcoin, especially any of that stuff, then it really is a shitty way to do it. But I don't think you can't use that in court. You can't go, I didn't know about whatever this is. You might be able to you could use that and maybe get the jury to go for something like nullification. Just say this, you have like the one person say this isn't a crime, or we just shouldn't convict this person. You can do that, but that's not like a legal defense. That's just hoping that somebody on the jury isn't an asshole and isn't just going to listen to whatever the judge tells them before. They're like, you can't do this. You have to make the decision from the law, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
So I guess all that to say, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's we don't have to go too much farther on this, but you could take any example as simple as like, turn on your headlights, or they had a law a couple of years ago. They introduced a law where you had to turn on your headlights if you had your windshield wipers on, and like that kind of stuff. Like yeah, first of all, like you said, Tim, I mean, if the fact that they're changing and introducing laws shows that that they're just arbitrary, because they're not some sort of official truth. It's just whatever they say and whatever they're at the time. But
yeah, I think for the average person, again, and I think this is the difference, I think that the court will fuck you over for it, but I think compared to, nobody looks on monetary or economic crime as bad as even as others. I think we're moving towards that, where everyone's freaking out about if you have more money than me, then you're evil, and if you have whatever this other stuff, where it's becoming more of a thing, and where we go after the whole thing with like, Trump didn't pay as many taxes as he should have, and none of them pay that many taxes. But I like our chances as far as getting away for not paying the taxes, or for not just using Bitcoin in this whatever government sanctioned way they want us to. I like our chances of getting away with stuff like that until we get over, which I think might be happening, this tipping point where then we're looking at taxes as this, or taxes or economic crimes, where we legitimately look at them as domestic terrorism.
yeah,
Because that argument makes complete sense to me if you think that way. Like, I don't understand why people who think taxes are okay don't get like pissed off at people for taking the most deductions they can or anything like that. They're fine with that. I'm like, why? But you want to pay more, right? Like, it's good for you. Yeah, well, I mean, it is. But then you get deductions for this, so that's good too. They're like, yeah, but it's whatever. So, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you got James Bond in the chat said Tim sounds much better now, and then like a few seconds later, Tim got a little crackly again.
I sound perfect.
We also got Trust Tay in the chat. She says it's only a law when the law is enforced. However, we all know how the IRS waits to bust someone, and finally a person gets charged when they go far with the tax evading or whatever they're doing. Yeah, I mean, sure, they love to bust people. I also was going to take that headlights example in the direction of like, how the heck am I even supposed to know? What if I don't watch the news and I don't know that there's this new law? Like, how am I even supposed to? It's physically impossible to read all of the laws that you are theoretically subject to in your lifetime. All the state laws and local law. How am I supposed to know you know, if I put my trash on the corner, which direction is the trash can supposed to face without getting a fine, all the way down to that local level. So, you know, that's the thing, like oversimplification maybe, but even no matter how sacred you want to call your system, if I physically cannot read the laws that you say I'm subject to in my lifetime, then how on earth can you claim that that's right? You can't. I mean, you can't tell me I have to do stuff that I can't physically know I have to do in my lifetime. So, okay. Anyway, we got off. Oh yeah, hey Chad, that's where it all started with Coinbase and the IRS. But actually, that's great though. I mean, that's a good example. You guys can help run the show. Just jump in the chat room and we'll have a good time. That's what we try to tell you, and I love when it happens. So, you know, it's fun.
Wait, speaking of Coinbase though, we were talking about forks when we started tonight's show.
Yep.
Does Coinbase support 2x? Or because I saw something that said they did, but I didn't think they did unless I missed an update or press release or something.
The last I heard, as of maybe a week ago, was that they weren't really taking sides. They said they would credit both coins to the users, but they didn't commit to which one they would call Bitcoin because they had to wait and see, is kind of what they said. That's the last I saw. And so on the same vein, I'm assuming that they wouldn't guarantee support for either one until they saw how it played out. But they did say that they would credit both coins to their users. So apparently in like 6 years or however long it takes them, they still haven't done Bitcoin Cash. So
yeah. Oh yes, I guess I'll have to credit Bitcoin Gold too, maybe.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Geez, because we were talking at the beginning of the show about forks on forks on forks and how they could just become like the new altcoins. Altcoins started out slow and there's a few here and there, and then they just went crazy because everyone's like, oh, sure, why not? I don't see why that shouldn't happen with forks. That's what we're already seeing. You know, it happened once, it kind of worked, and now people are like, hey, oh, Bitcoin, ooh, what's that? Gold, Bitcoin Gold. So yeah, so that is going to be a huge issue if this takes off. What do the exchanges do? What the wallets, do they develop for this one or that one or the other one? What are going to be the methods for recovering your keys and securing your original Bitcoin while gaining access to the new Bitcoin? I mean, I still have been dealing with some of that crap with Bitcoin Cash, just trying to keep track of where it all is, and keep because the thing is, when you fork, the keys to your original Bitcoin also work as keys to the new Bitcoin. So if you try to load your keys into a new wallet that might be a virus or might have some vulnerability, then you're also putting your original Bitcoin at risk because both of them use the same keys. And so that's why you got to be careful if you're trying to gain access to the new Bitcoin, because what you want to do is move your old Bitcoin first so that it's not on the same keys anymore. Then you can import the keys to the new wallet. Just saying that kind of sentence is confusing, let alone actually trying to handle it and be careful and worry about, paper wallets or private keys or hot wallets or whatever. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is that's going to be a big issue. If forks take off like altcoins did, I have no idea what the exchanges and people and everyone are going to do, but
yeah,
they'll try stuff. So Zach, you were telling me earlier today that you had an itch about infighting, and I don't know if you already covered most of it or what, because it's pretty related to forking. I mean, that's what forking is infighting. At least for the time being, it's involved a lot of infighting. Eventually it might just kind of like altcoins, they might call it innovation, and they might develop new ideas and use forking to implement it or whatever. But so far it's been pretty clearly defined by infighting. Any thoughts, Zach? Did you have to
I have. Yeah, so I actually decided to and I keep doing this to you where I'm like, oh, Dan, I have a dope article that I'm writing that you can throw up on the website. And I've probably given you one so far, but I promise they're all drafted on my computer, and I started writing this one. It's just, so one of my favorite tweets was, I actually don't really care that much about Ethereum. I have some, but like Vitalik Buterin is just like a genius. I was reading about him and everything he knows, and it just like blows my mind. But he tweeted the other day, yesterday, he was like, I respect everyone's opinion in this space, but it appalls me at how quickly we excommunicate each other. I'm just like, hell yes. Because, so I've competed in debate for a lot of years, and I love winning, and everyone loves winning an argument. But people don't realize that when you have a good idea, the worst thing you could do is tell everyone who might disagree with you to shut up or to block them or something. Because you might be 50% brilliant, but the other 50% of your idea might just be nut-ass retarded, and you need someone else to come tell you, hey, no, okay, keep 50% of that, and let's trash the other 50% and work to rebuild it on something. Like, it just blows my mind. And when, like, I could see manifest harm coming to this whole experiment in, like, now or in the future or something, who knows, the butterfly effect from all this infighting, where, like, the project significantly suffers just because people hate people who disagree with them. Like, we all aren't just going to get along. Disagreement is inevitable, but disagreement is also healthy. And when someone supports proof of work as opposed to proof of stake, or vice versa, or some other proof, or a totally different unrelated protocol, or supports a fork and not keeping the long pure chain, or champions an altcoin and says, oh, Bitcoin's a bygone, it's the first iteration, but it won't last. Whatever your opinion is, if you block or mute or trash talk or slur or slander, name call, like, you literally cannot tell me one good productive reason or one good productive thing that will come from that. And it just, like, so that's there's my ranting. And Dan will put up some of that I write out in, or type out in form. It's just, it's so dumb, and I hate it. And, like, other people on Twitter and forums and stuff call it out too, but it just still goes on. It's so toxic and so unhealthy.
Yeah, that's a good call. I mean, it's true. And no matter how right you are, I had a soccer game the other day, and it, people were arguing with the ref about something, and it was the same idea. I mean, no matter how right you are, if you're just gonna, like, flip out on the ref and say how obnoxious they're being, like, he's not gonna change his mind. Like,
yeah,
especially when he's in control. And that's the thing. Even, the ref is in control, whatever. But, if you're arguing or debating with someone about Bitcoin or whatever, everyone thinks they're in control. Everyone thinks they're right, and everyone thinks they can, they have the high ground for whatever reason. So even though it's a little different where a ref, like, officially does have control, it's a little different with debating, casually, because nobody really has control. The truth is the truth, whatever, something might be better for whatever reason. But the fact is that none of that's official, and nobody can really prove any of that. So everyone thinks that they are the ref. Everyone thinks that what they say goes in their own head. That's just human nature. You couldn't function if you didn't believe that you were right about certain things. And so, so that's a problem then, because they're just like the ref. They're not gonna change their mind. They believe they're right. They know your argument, or at least they think they do, and so they're just gonna. People are stubborn. That's a much simpler way to put it.
People need to realize that not everyone is dumb. Like, people hold opinions for good reason, like what they think are good reasons, and you can only replace a bad opinion with another opinion, maybe worse, maybe better, maybe the same. But you can't just say your opinion is dumb and expect them to be like, oh, okay, well, for me, I'll just go find a new one. People just need to stop being little Nazis and hating everyone who disagrees with them, and just let it be, bro. Just chill.
Yeah, you know what it is. So That's the thing, though. At this, I totally agree with that. But at the same time, everyone has this tipping point where first they'll debate, but as soon as you're like a murderer, then I'm just going to name call the crap out of you. First we'll debate something and we'll argue about it and it'll be what it'll be. But as soon as you call it Bcash, you are such a friggin' go home.
Yeah.
Go home. So I'm not saying any of that's logical. I'm not saying I'm completely certain I have a lot of the same flaws in different areas. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I think it's human nature. But the point is, everyone has a tipping point where they do, fall into name calling and just raging. And it's fun, but most of the time it's probably stupid.
James Bond in the chat said, "Zach is a master debater." LOL.
LOL.
Yeah, I've never heard that one before, James. Nice one.
I don't know. I heard he got gold medals or something for the
I just
debate
think
team.
You said Bcash. One of my favorite tweets on that was it from Roger Ver or something? He said he basically said people who call it Bcash instead of its proper name Bitcoin Cash are intentionally using a derogatory term or something. And
yeah. I don't know who said that officially first, but I like
stupid.
I like to name call it, like bitch cash. I'll call it whatever I want.
I just call it Tim's ass. That's like
yeah.
There you go. It all comes back to
So speaking of Twitter, we're not gonna have time to get to it, but I decided to go through the Bitcoin Gold Twitter, and I ended up finding an article where it's like an official statement where they had to defend themselves against some deceptive I don't know, people were saying bad stuff about Bitcoin Gold, so we issued this official statement.
Were they calling it B Gold? So derogatory.
Well, yeah, some people say it's BCG or something. I don't know what their ticker is, but they also on the Twitter for Bitcoin Gold, there's a whole bunch of like, scam alerts. It's not a real Bitcoin Gold website. Be careful, guys. They're after us. They're coming for us. I see. Yeah. The thing is, just like altcoins, the first few were somewhat legitimate, but over time, their legitimacy just went to hell. Everyone realized, like, okay, anyone can do this. It's getting easier and easier. So why should I even be interested? That's exactly what Bitcoin Gold feels like. It feels like a starting point where people are like, wait, yeah, anyone can do this. And everyone's gonna do this. All right, this is dumb. And it's still gonna take everything by storm. And newbies or less educated people are still gonna get involved in all kinds of forks. But I think that because I'm the referee of myself and because I believe I'm right, I think they're stupid and they're never really going to take off, and that anyone that does get involved in them is an idiot. So, because I'm the referee of my own mind, that's what I say.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, so they had that press release or something where they had to defend themselves point by point from this malicious post on Bitcoin Talk forums. So, but hey, so we got a few minutes left, and I want to briefly touch on actual gold, just because I found an article. It was on Cointelegraph. The headline here is, well, I closed it for a second because I was going to turn on my screen share. There we go. The headline is, why can't gold keep up with Bitcoin? Now, first of all, no matter how legitimate or spammy or helpful or useless or whatever you think of Cointelegraph, I think everyone always loves their graphics. So they've got the best graphics in the business. I wish every news website went like this. Instead of using stock photography, let's just put up some hunks of metal having a boxing match.
This would get really weird though sometimes, man.
Oh yeah, they do get weird. There was one that was like a parody of Hunger Games, and anyway, there's all kinds of them. Every single day they make several of them. So anyway, So yeah, the article basically says, you know, that gold, it has a history, and gold was one of our, way back in the early days before episode 10, some of our first few guests ever on the show were some some bullion dealers, and talking about comparing gold to Bitcoin. We did several episodes about that early on, but yeah, so it's getting more and more of a question, like, why is gold not doing crap? Gold's been at like 1,200, 1,300 bucks an ounce for years now. You know, with some variance. I don't know, maybe down to like 900 and maybe up to like 1,500. I don't know the actual numbers. I don't follow it very much, but the point is, it's been extremely stagnant compared to Bitcoin. Now, some people say that that's the point. That's why, you know, that's gold. It's secure. It just, yeah, it's not going to blow up, but it's just stable. And maybe that's true. It has been relatively stable, and really all it's supposed to do is keep up with inflation. So if you have like a 3% inflation rate, then the gold price should go up about 3% per year, maybe. I've heard some arguments like that. But anyway, I just want to get some random thoughts from you guys. What do you think about gold and how stagnant it's been compared to Bitcoin? You know, I like gold. I wish it would take off. I wish, you know, the economy would collapse because it's a bunch of bullcrap out there. And I wish that gold would take over to some extent. But then, of course, I like Bitcoin better. So I buy Bitcoin and I don't really buy gold anymore. Any thoughts, guys? What could be going on? What might happen in the future? Causes, effects? You know, is there a chance like that this is the end of gold? I mean, because we say all the time, like, as much as we love Bitcoin, it won't last forever. That's just the way life works. What if we're finally reaching like this, you know, the you know, 5 millennium end of gold, right? It was a good 5 millennia while they lasted. Any thoughts, guys?
Skrillex. His big. I think. Well, I mean, I'll go back to what we say before. If Bitcoin's going to beat gold, it's going to beat gold on that it's easier to move around. It's easy to take on planes. It's easy to move your wealth. It's harder to track it. You can just have it in your head. You don't need a physical thing of it. You don't have to worry about someone stealing it if you do it in that certain way. That's the only reason why I would think that gold's going to stick around, just because we like nice, shiny, physical things. And I think it's probably a couple, another 100 years at least until we get over that.
Yeah, actually, speaking of portability, and yeah, that's what you can do with Bitcoin, is send it across borders and take it on a plane or whatever. But actually, that I forgot that's another reason that I wanted to bring up this article, because there's a paragraph in here that I think was just on the screen for a while, but I turned off my screen share. It says, it could be that it's simply much more accessible. People have a much easier time acquiring Bitcoin, as well as the types of people buying Bitcoin probably would not know where to even start buying gold, which is an incredible thing to say about Bitcoin, because for years we've been saying like, oh yeah, it's kind of weird, kind of hard to buy Bitcoin. You got to sign up for these websites and you got to set up this wallet. But now to finally be able to say like, oh yeah, it's way easier than buying gold down the street. I mean, I don't know how accurate the statement is, but it's becoming more and more accurate every day. Bitcoin finally is more usable than a lot of other things, or just as usable and buyable and spendable as a lot of other things. Still has a long way to go, but I think it's, you know, that just caught my eye. Like, wow, we finally are to the point where it's somewhat valid to say that, oh yeah, Bitcoin is easy to buy.
We're not at the moon yet, but we're like in the stratosphere somewhere high up.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, guys, I agree. We got a long way to go. And then after the moon, there's the stars. Before we wrap up, I just saw a bunch of chat go by. So I'm going to read a little bit of that, and then we'll get to advice of the week, and then we'll call it an hour. So Flapping Plemis jumped in the chat here. Hello. B-Gold is wonderful tech. Very innovative.
Blocked.
Okay. Yeah, time to break out the name calling referee in me. No, heck, I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. Like we spent this whole episode saying how forks are probably pretty stupid. But the fact is, I don't know too. See, I should have said this at the very beginning, but I guess I didn't because I had just told Zack. Maybe I already thought I said it. The key with Bitcoin Gold, I clearly should have said this an hour ago, but just so you know, the biggest reason it's becoming a thing is that it's supposed to have a different proof of work. It's supposed to be ASIC resistant. So because it's a different algorithm, then you cannot use existing ASICs, existing super powerful miners, if you don't know what ASICs are. It's supposed to resist those and therefore resist centralization. So we could have had a whole discussion about that as well, but we'll save that for another day because we're coming up on the end here. So that's just a reminder then, you better tune in next time because we got to get a lot more to get to. I don't know if it'll be next week or whenever, but Flapping Plemis says, I receive them well and am persuaded into wonderful non-scams that always make my money disappear. I don't know where it goes, but it looks good. I'm pretty sure he's being sarcastic, and I don't know what he means by them. Maybe forks or altcoins or something, or
James Bond was giving him crap about golden showers earlier.
Oh, I receive golden showers?
Dan, you're actually going to be brought up on prostitution.
I don't know what's going on.
You're trying to sell golden showers on our. Let the men do their free market golden shower trading in our chat. We're all for free markets here. Just Daniel, you don't need to encourage it.
Okay. So my phone just buzzed with another upward green arrow. So I don't even know what it means this time. It's somewhere way up there. Anyway, who buys gold during a crisis? And that's a really good question. It's becoming less and less common. A guy tried to sell me a gold chain at the gas station. That was NY Cartoons. 14 carats, yo. James Bond says, I know what ASICs are, but what's a miner? I feel like
you're not allowed to fork.
Yeah, no forking miners. That'll put you in prison.
B Gold is better than BTC, bro. Stop shilling BTC. Oh, Flapping Plummet. What the frick? I'm not. I will shill Bitcoin. I'm not mad. I'm just like, I'm open to all forks. Anybody can fork me. I don't care.
So yeah, guys, it's been fun. That's the chat. I love when the chat just kind of goes at it. So that was a good time. We'll do some quick advice of the week. I'm ready with mine. Mine is going to be, referee your own mind. All right, just be in control of yourself. Don't change your mind. Never listen to people. Just be the referee of your own mind, because whatever anyone else says, they're probably wrong. And the best course of action is to just flip out on them and call them names. So that's my advice of the week. I hope it serves you well.
So I think Daniel's taking that advice and giving it sarcastically, but as far as like people who do well in this world, that seems to be pretty good advice. So if you want to do well, go with that. My advice, don't get dragged into weddings for ulterior reasons. Other advice, buy gold and Bitcoin. Hide your money.
Hide your wife.
Hide your money. Hide your kids. Hide your wife. They're coming to stealing your Bitcoin down here. They raping all your Bitcoin. But yeah, just do anything. Like if you don't put all your money in Bitcoin, because then if you don't pay taxes on $70,000 worth of Bitcoin, sure, that's going to be a pretty big problem for you. Have some of it in gold, so then they have to go, and it's more of a problem for them to go into gold. Have some of it in guns. Just diversify. We need diversity. We need diversity in the Bitcoin ecospace.
Yeah, I mean that's fair advice if you're worried about it. I mean, not that we're trying to help you evade taxes, because we love taxes and we want everyone to pay them responsibly and do all the work to research every single tax law ever. But if you just theoretically, if you were thinking about it, then yeah, guns and gold have value and generally hold it. So, just
we love taxes, just like we love girlfriends, but sometimes neither of them makes sense. But we still love them.
And you cheat on them.
Sometimes you have to beat them, but you know.
My advice of the week is just stay away from golden showers. Just keep it simple and clean. That's
Yes.
my advice.
Except if we're getting a cut. If there's golden showers being sold in our chat, I want some of it. I want a percentage.
Oh, geez, guys, it's been a blast. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for jumping in the chat. I love it when people jump in the chat. Pretty arousing. So thanks for that. Tim sounds like Timmy from South Park.
Fuck up.
Don't buy gold from the shady dude in the parking lot unless you can prove that it's real gold and he's selling it for super cheap. Because
what if he has a sign that says "I take Bitcoin"?
Exactly, and then he runs away and doesn't give you anything. Guys, it's been so much fun. This has been You, Me, and BTC episode number 196. I have been Daniel Brown, and I have been here with
Tim Baker or Tim
Zack Vol.
We'll catch you next Thursday, same time, same place, having a blast. You, Me, and BTC.com. If you want to get to this specific episode, you can do /E196. Or every week, you can go to /live to get to the current episode. I apologize for this crappy music, and I hope you have a wonderful time. We will see you later.